Hello, welcome back to another segment in excerpts from a Spiritual Ascension. So, for this topic, which I'm talking about minimalism, I'm going to break it into two different videos because I want to talk about material minimalism, say that real quick 10 times, and then spiritual minimalism. So, this one's going to be about um, my own personal journey into a more minimalist lifestyle and the reason why that played such an important part in my why it was necessary as far as going into a spiritual minimalism, if that makes sense, but it'll make sense later. So as you've probably heard in many of my videos, I worked on Wall Street for 20 years and had a very good income, lived in Manhattan, had a big, beautiful apartment, um, furnished it very well, and tried to have all um, the essentials and some, and also try to have the best name brands um, of those things, as well as the clothing. And in New York, as you know, it's one of the biggest shopping meccas that there is. And every corner has some type of store on it. So not only was I had disposable income at that time, um, I had a worked in Midtown at first, and had an hour lunch, had after work, and what else was there to do? But if you know Rockefeller Center, I was right near, actually right in Rockefeller Center. So a lot of stores around there, Fifth Avenue, uh, you name it, I did it. So um, back in 2017, if you're following my story, my father came through in spirit and said that, um, things are going to change. And not only are you going to, how do I say that, bring forth your psychic abilities once again, because I already had them, but they were suppressed. But also, eventually, I was going to leave my job, and I couldn't understand that at all. Working on Wall Street for almost 20 years, how was I going to leave it? I needed my income. It was a good income. I liked the work that I did, so forth. Anyway, let's see. So that was like 2017. And I don't know if I'm sure you guys have heard of the minimalists. Just Google their videos. They are two guys who kind of came together and created this movement about minimalism. And I knew nothing about being a minimalist. And I think people kind of are getting away from that sort of direct lifestyle. I think if you have done any kind of changes to the things you own, the amount of things you own, and it's more of having the essentials in your life, the things that you really mean things to you. I had just an overabundance of too much. um, Clothes that I didn't wear in a closet that still had tags on them. Um, just a lot of stuff. And still went out and would buy more. I had two bedrooms in my Manhattan apartment, and I turned the second bedroom into a closet. So tight, but I also had three other closets in the hallway. So it was just kind of out of control at that point. Um, I started listening to their videos, and I also had a reading with someone who actually came to me and said they needed to give me a reading. That's like spirit kind of saying, we need your attention. And the gentleman said to me that you're going to be doing work with homeless women. And when I thought about that, I'm like, hmm, um, that was in right after I had stopped working, and I had still had this abundance of clothes, like I no longer needed. I wasn't wearing my pantsuits, my dress suits, my dresses, my heels, my handbags that I was wearing when I went, to work every day, and had more of a casual lifestyle, and trying to pursue I was had just got my yoga certification, so now I had a ton of yoga clothes too. So I thought about it and I'm saying, well, it's like spirit's telling me to donate what I have to like a homeless shelter. And that was like one of the hardest things for me to do, because I also believe that I was trying using things as a way to kind of build a wall around me from the hurt that I had gone through in the past. So things to me were things can't walk out of your life unless you get rid of them, right? So to me, accumulating more, that was like kind of a buffer between me and people who had hurt me in the past. And I'm sure many of you can resonate with that. A lot of times when I watch these shows, what's the show? Hoarders, and I see people, surrounding themselves with stuff. 9 times out of 10, they've gone through something very dramatic, like a loss of a loved one, or a job loss, or something very traumatic. And that's the reason why they kind of put things around them to kind of protect them. These things can't leave me, in a way. So anyway, I said, okay, I finally got my mind together to say I'm going to pack up these clothes. I don't need them. They're just sitting here. And I end up getting like packing up about 9 or 10 big black garbage bags, if you know what I'm talking about, like the leaf bags of clothes. That's like how much I had of just shoes and handbags, suits, beautiful dresses. And that it was super hard. It's kind of like you just had to do it and not think about it. So I ended up, finding a woman's shelter, and I took the bags over there. And I wanted to talk to the director because I said, I don't want these just disappearing and going to anyone. Like, these women are supposed to be trying to, eventually get jobs, hopefully, and they're going to need things to wear. And hopefully, some of these things can help them out. So I think I went back a couple days later, and him and his staff um, had taken, like, what do you call it, racks, clothing racks, and had hung up all my stuff. And when I went back in there, they were like, "Oh my God, we cannot believe that you donated like this nice, like this stuff." And I saw a couple of things. I was like, "Wait a minute, I give away that." But anyway, that was just a briefing of saying that slowly I had to get rid of. Um, I didn't understand at that time why I was being told to minimalize my belongings. I didn't know I was going to go on to this ascension journey where, in reality, you're giving up your worldly possessions, so what you have at that time from this past life. And if you've watched my videos, I always talk about having two lives within one lifetime. Everything I had accumulated up until that time was from that past life. I no longer hardly have any of those things. I have a couple things um, that I brought with me, like my laptop, I still have my iPad. Um, I still have my original tarot deck here. Um, but if you know tarot and you know the Fool in tarot, which is the zero card, the first card of the deck, I shouldn't say of the deck, of the major arcana, it shows a young man who is only carrying a little pack on his back, and he's very free and um, not carrying with him anything from his past. He's looking forward. About the Fool is about new beginnings, starting something new. And in doing that, you have to remove yourself, get rid of everything that belonged in your past life. Okay. That first life within this one lifetime. Okay. I've now started my second life in this lifetime, and everything that I've gotten rid of, I no longer look at my life in that way, that I need all of those things. My life is very simple. Um, I believe in having quality over quantity now. Um, and things now have meaning for me. Like I don't just buy just to buy. Like it has to feel good. It has to have some kind of not even meaning, but have some kind of essential aspect that I'll use it in my life. And not to say that I don't like nice things or pretty things, but I don't have to also spend an exuberant amount of money to have decent things like I did previously. Again, I believe in quality over quantity, but not to say that I don't have to have the designer things that I had before, so forth. But saying all that, so that when I get into the second video about spiritual minimalism, the reason why I needed to decrease my stuff at that time was eventually all of it was going to be gone. And as I've also talked about in another video about spiritual paralysis, where at a point you kind of are held in place so that the universe can have you go through your initial transformation of this acceptance. Okay. We who are the initial ones going through this ascension journey, um, it's hard to realize at first, like, what's happening to me, you know? Um, and this is the path that you've chosen. Okay. Um, this is not something that the universe is doing to you. This is something that you've chosen, your soul chose before you even came here to earth for this lifetime. So understand that it is a difficult thing. Is I didn't know what was happening at the time, and but understanding that it was for my best and highest good. Okay. So I'm going to do a second video just to talk about further what all that kind of means. Okay. All right. Please like, share, and subscribe if you would like to talk to me about anything about spiritual things or the ascension journey. There's a link below to book time with me. Also, I've done several courses on the ascension journey, and that link is also below. And I'll see you next time.